Welcome to Liberation Hour Radio. I'm Jen, and I'm here with Tosha Lobsinger of Peace People Project, who organizes Zero Waste and Vegan, also known as ZWV, educational and social events, including Vancouver Vegan Festival, Sarnia Veg Fest, ZWV Market, and lots more. She also has an upcycled activism apparel line, which you can check out on Instagram at Peace People Project, with 50% of the profits donated to farm sanctuaries. In this show, Tosha will be sharing important information about ZWV lifestyle, including issues with the clothing industry, animal agriculture, and plastic pollution. Tosha will offer tips and solutions to avoid these industries and to move towards more ethical and sustainable everyday practices. Simple DIY recipes will be shared. Thanks for joining us today, Tosha. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me and for talking about these important issues. It's super exciting to be able to share what I've learned and just keep that information and the good vibes flowing.
Awesome. Yeah, we're super excited to have you. So let's just start by asking, and you can share with our viewers here, when and how did your zero waste journey begin?
My zero waste journey has been a long one. I've cared about the environment for a really long time. I think it started with rejection of drinking from plastic water bottles like 15 years ago. And then it evolved into rejecting plastic bags at the grocery store. But there was still a disconnect for me because I was getting a bunch of plastic packaged goods and then rejecting the plastic bag for a long time. But it really kicked into higher gear when I moved out to British Columbia and I was spending more time in nature. And just having that inspiration and wanting to protect it, I kept making more and more steps towards zero waste. And once I saw zero waste stores popping up, I fully went for it. It took a while though.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. What would you say is like the biggest obstacle that you had to face when you first started that transition?
Yeah, I think the biggest obstacle was myself. Just not having the confidence to go against the norm. And veganism, going vegan, because I went vegan about 5 years before I went zero waste, that really helped me to feel comfortable and good about rejecting social norms. And being like a leader in a different movement and a new way of thinking and a new way of living. But yeah, for a while it was really just wanting to go with the flow more or not stand out too much or more fear of what people might think of me. So I think it was really a lack of confidence, but thankfully I have that now and it's easier to push through and pave new ways and help inspire people to make changes that will benefit everyone and the planet.
Awesome. That's so inspiring. I love how, you're choosing love for the planet over fear of what people might think. That's inspiring. So I know that you do a lot of work for Zero Waste and Vegan. So why the and vegan? What is so important about veganism?
Yeah, well, they're really based on the exact same core values. It's veganism that led me to zero waste. It's nature that led me to both animal agriculture and plastic and the clothing industry and all the different ways that we consume. They pollute the planet. They're putting toxins into our bodies and they're causing harm to others. They're causing death to lives of innocent beings who want to live. So yeah, with plastic, for instance, there's islands bigger than France floating around in the ocean. There's more than 6 of them. And they're just getting bigger and bigger over time. And these are massive vortexes that just attract animals, kill animals just from entanglement. Marine life eat the plastics that are floating around, confusing them for food, and then they're not getting any nutrients, so they're dying of starvation. Microplastics are just everywhere because plastics never break down, so they're just getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and they're practically invisible. You can look at the ocean surface and see nothing, but if a filter goes by, it's full of microplastics. which is some footage I just saw recently on a plastic ocean. It's a film on Netflix that I would highly recommend watching. Yeah, so that's plastic, killing animals and us. We all have plastics in our bodies as well. Plastics accumulate toxins and then release them back into our bodies. And then the clothing industry as well has lots of workers' rights issues, lots of chemicals and toxins that are used in the production, lots of packaging that's used to ship and get the garments out into the world. And then animal agriculture, of course, we've got the environmental impacts of raising animals, the toxins that come out from having these animals in such small places, so many of them, from their feces and urine, causing breathing issues to nearby communities. And, the farms tend to be located closer to communities that are already less well off, already marginalized communities. So just kind of adding on to their already marginalization and mistreatment. And then the animals themselves, they value their lives and deserve to live. So it's just a huge plethora of issues, and they're all kind of tapping into the same issues. All the industries.
Yeah, definitely. So was it veganism that came first for you, or was it? Okay.
Yeah, I went vegan just over 7 years ago. And then I went zero waste just over 2 years ago.
Amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
So you spoke a little to the industries there that, are destroying our planet. Do you have any suggestions? Sorry, that was my dog. There.
Hi, doggy.
Do you have any alternatives for those? Like mention the plastic and the clothing. What can people do to avoid these sort of industries?
Yeah, well, clothing's easy. We can just go to our local thrift shops. There's so much clothing on the planet that we're good forever. We don't need to be producing any more new clothing. There's tons of great styles out there, all sizes, all aesthetics, different colors. Like I'm in the thrift shops all the time, collecting pieces for Peace People Project. And it's just crazy, the abundance of clothing. And a lot of it looks new. People will buy things, wear them a couple times, donate them. And hopefully we'll get out of that cycle as well. And even if we do, we've got enough clothing that we can all just continue to purchase secondhand. We've also got access to really great resources like Facebook Marketplace and Buns, which are awesome like apps for people to people. Just if you want to post something that maybe you want a little bit of money for, you can trade on Buns for plants or beer or kombucha or whatever people are offering. And then consignment shops as well. You can bring your clothing if you want to get a little bit of money for it, and then you get a percentage back. And that's a nice place to go to if you're looking for higher quality or certain brands of clothing, to consignment shops.
Great. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then for avoiding plastic, it's just do it. Just buy, like if you're getting salsa, you can, first of all, you can make it yourself. I guess the ideal zero waste would be grow your own tomatoes and veggies and make your own salsa. Second best would be getting it refilled in your thrifted jars at a zero waste shop, or like linking up with like a local salsa maker. And then the next best would be going to your grocery store that you're used to, like Whole Foods or Superstore or whatever, and just choosing it in a glass jar over a plastic jar. And that's a great first step for people, so you don't have to be like going to all these new stores and getting used to a new system of bringing your jars and everything. If you can right now just commit to, I'm going to go to my regular grocery store and I'm not going to buy anything that has plastic, that's a great first step.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's great. I think right now we'll just take a short break and we'll show your do-it-yourself cheese recipe. Super easy and helpful. And we'll just be right back, so stay with us.
Hey friends, I'm Tosha. Today I'm going to show you how to make super easy vegan cheese. First, I'm going to take some medium or firm tofu and press it for 30 minutes to get some of the water out. In your food processor, add your pressed tofu, coconut oil, spices, and flavors. So this is a really great neutral vegan feta base. You can use it just as it is, but you can also add whatever flavors you want, get creative. One of my personal favorites is garlic and dill. Now we're just going to put it into some containers to chill in the fridge for 24 hours. Now that your cheese is set in the fridge for 24 hours, have some fun, grab some fruits, crackers, and nuts from your cupboards, make a beautiful platter, and invite your friends and family over to enjoy. Oh yeah.
And we are back. Welcome to Liberation Hour Radio. I'm Jen, and we're here with Tosha. And she's going to be showing us her zero waste fridge and cupboards, or the items within that. So to you, Tosha.
All right. Hey, I just wanted to show you guys. Oh, we got some things dropping out. Yeah, so I've got a lot of things here in random jars. All my jars are thrifted as well. You know, we've got salt, spices, can't really see where I'm pointing, raisins, vanilla, all the fun. Oh, this is my little, all of my garbage. Okay, I'm doing the video with
right
one hand. Okay, so that's my tiny little jar of all my garbage for 2 years.
Wow.
It's essentially just produce stickers, actually, and some tags from shirts that I've thrifted for Peace People Project, and personal clothing as well. But yeah, it's, as you can see, mostly those plastic stickers from produce.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And it's good to put those away because small plastics spread really easily in the wind and in the water, and they break down. And yeah, so keep them in a little sealed jar so they're not going anywhere. Yeah, I've got more like nutritional yeast, coconut oil, rice, beans, oats, all the fun stuff. In here, I've just got all my thrifted plates and dishes. They're all different and fun. And then all my empty jars, which are all thrifted as well. What else should I show you? My fridge, I guess. Yeah, I don't know if it's that pretty. Just random, whatever, olives, sauces, veggies. Maybe the fridge isn't that exciting.
That's great.
Yeah, that's pretty much a tour of the kitchen, I guess. Now we're gonna make some cashew milk, right?
Right, yeah, that would be wonderful.
So I'm gonna do this with one hand, I guess. No, I should try to, here. Let's put this on my fruit bowl. Okay.
That works.
Well, that's good for now. Okay, so here's my cashews. With nut milk, you soak them. I usually soak them the day before, so just overnight or for a couple days. Usually when I finish one batch, I'll just soak the next batch of nuts. And I usually do about a blender full of milk at a time. And it's a 1-to-3 ratio. But this time I was a little low on nuts, so it's going to be a bit less than a blender full. But yeah, these are my soaked cashews. And vegan power.
So strong.
And then I'm just going to strain them. And I'm not fully prepared for this. Here we go. All right. So, and I put a bowl underneath because I'm gonna save the water to water my plants.
Okay, great.
So I don't know if I'm aiming properly.
Oh yeah. No, but
No?
no, it's okay. You're good.
Yeah, well, everyone knows what nut straining looks like. That's okay. And then, I've already got some water in my blender. Jeez, I should have got an assistant for this. Oh my goodness. All right, now I'm just adding the cashews to the water. And like I said, I like to do like a 1-to-3 ratio. I usually use my milks mostly for coffee filter or for coffee creamer. So 1-to-3 is good. If you're more so like drinking it as milk, you can do 1-to-4. All right, and this is going to be a bit loud.
I can't really hear you.
Yeah, I just said cashew milk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just about like 30 seconds to a minute works. And sorry, I'm just transferring this water now. The nut soaking water.
Right.
I need this bowl. Oh my gosh, I really need an assistant. Okay.
You're doing great.
Am I? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. There's a lot more to figure out than I thought there would be. Okay. All right. Now we're over here, crouching down. Okay, so this is just a cloth bag with really small holes, and it's going to filter out the pulp from the cashew milk.
Awesome. Where can one obtain such cloth bags?
Ooh, someone gave me this, but you could make your own.
Okay.
It's just basically cotton, so you could use like an old cotton shirt and just make one. You could even use you could use maybe any fabric. I should look that up, but you can also get them at zero waste shops. Sweet. They sell them. Yeah. And if you're lazy, you can just use like a fine sieve.
All right.
This is a really funny position. Okay, so I'm just pouring the milk into the bag. So I'm just filtering out the pulp from the cashew milk. And I like to save the pulp to make cookies or energy bars. So I just have like a frozen container with all of my pulp. And then whenever I'm making cookies, I just will sub out like, I have a great recipe from Oshi Glows for oatmeal cookies, and there's nuts in them. And instead of the nuts, I just use my nut pulp.
Sweet.
Yeah. So I'm going to leave that there for now.
Okay.
Do the rest later. But, BRB. All right. I'm going to pour a glass here.
Sweet. That was super easy.
So easy. So that's it. Yeah, you just filter the blended nuts and water. And then here we go.
Amazing.
And that's just some of it, but
right.
Should I have a sip?
Yeah. How's it?
So good. So creamy. So yeah, that's just plain cashew milk. I usually add maple syrup as well and vanilla.
Ooh.
Yeah,
nice.
Just like whatever tastes good to you. But there's lots of fun different variations you can do. But plain is good as well, just as it is.
That's so awesome. I've always wanted to make my own milk, but I always thought it was this like complicated process.
Nope, that's it. Soak some nuts, add some water, blend it up. You don't even have to filter it. You can drink the pulp, obviously, but it's nice to get it creamy too.
Cool.
Yeah, and for oats, you don't even have to soak them. So rolled oats, you can just blend right away.
Okay, awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's very, very useful.
Of course. Everyone make your own milks.
Yeah.
Save the cows.
Yeah, definitely. They need that. Cool. So I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about Peace People Project and how that kind of all got started and what that entails, and yeah, just that whole operation.
Yeah, for sure. I started Peace People Project in Sarnia, which is my hometown, just wanting to spread the vegan message. This was like 6 years ago after I had gone vegan, just wanting to get that information out there to others. So I started showing documentaries and having food and inviting people to come for free to watch them, screening events. And then when I moved to Vancouver, I decided to launch the clothing line, which is important messages printed on upcycled pieces. So thrifted messages and thrifted shirts, and some of my messages are animal lovers do not eat animals, climate action begins on your plate, stop using plastic, vegan lover. There's a whole bunch of them you can check out on my Instagram or website. Yeah, and then I decided to just keep going bigger with the events. So I launched Sarnia Veg Fest and then Vancouver Vegan Festival. And now I'm doing zero waste vegan markets in Vancouver as well, and some other events too. Yeah, but the best thing is just having I guess a platform to get together with community members who might be inspired to come into the community, and the events are like a positive, welcoming space. There's live music, there's yoga, they're usually in nature, and it's just really welcoming. There's guest speakers, and there's tutorials for how to make your own products or cooking demos with samples. So just bringing people in.
Yeah. That's great. Awesome. And I know that for the apparel line, 50% of the proceeds go to farm sanctuaries.
Yeah.
Did you have like specific sanctuaries that, like, is it local to Sarnia or?
Well, I actually live in Vancouver.
Right.
But I support Cedar Row Farm Sanctuary, which is really close to Sarnia, and Frog Hollow. And then some in Vancouver, like the Happy Herd and Little Oink Bank, and some on the island, like Rasta Sanctuary. I've been able to support lots of different sanctuaries, and once in a while I'll just ask out on Instagram, like who needs support when I have a donation ready to go, so that I can share the love around.
I love that. That's awesome. It's so important, I think, in the vegan community for us to, like be supporting those sanctuaries, because they bring us so much needed light and joy.
Oh yeah, visiting a sanctuary provides so much healing and good energy, and it's so much hard work for the people who live there and permanently take care of those animals, and they're rescuing the animals from slaughter. So we have to support and thank them and give them as much love as we can, for sure.
Well, I think for a lot of people watching this, they're probably a bit blown away that you've been doing this zero waste lifestyle for so long. And, I know I was blown away by just that little jar, because I think that so many of us live lives that produce so much waste, and it can just seem quite unattainable to live a zero waste vegan lifestyle. So, in terms of everything that you've shared with us today, I think that that's all very, very useful. Is there any other things that people can do, like starting right now, that can help them get and bridge that gap to the zero waste?
Yeah, totally. Two kind of different plans or ideas come to mind. The first one being like a 22-day challenge, similar to the vegan 22 challenge. Why not try like a 22-day zero waste challenge where you fully commit to it? A lot of people have a bit more time these days, so maybe it's a good time to give that a try finally, if it's been on your mind. So a 22-day is a really good way to just force yourself to overcome some of those barriers that will come up, without feeling like you're committing for life and this is just like too exhausting and you have to give up. It's like 22 days, just push through. So that's a great way, because it takes 21 days to change a habit. And yeah, I would recommend that. But also, there's kind of 3 tips for setting yourself up for zero waste lifestyle. One would be join a zero waste Facebook group or start one. So check on Facebook, Zero Waste Toronto or Zero Waste Vancouver. See if your city has one. If not, start one up, because that's a great way to just bring like-minded people together and to share where are the stores that have bulk sections, or get more of a trading culture going as well with people, and a lending culture as well. So not everyone needs to have like, I don't know, I can't even think of anything, but like snowshoes, let's say. Not everyone needs to have their own pair of snowshoes in their house that they store and use once a year. We can set up more like trading cultures where, or sharing cultures where we use it one day and someone else uses it another day, and we have this community that we can ask and lend and all that fun stuff. But yeah, so having the zero waste in the online communities is really great to just kind of start fostering that and build the numbers, and to ask questions. And then the third one would be, I guess, just stop using plastic is a really easy one. So if you make that rule for yourself, no matter where you go, maybe you're craving like a juice and you're at a gas station and it's only like plastic bottled orange juice or whatever, but you've made that commitment to yourself. So you just fill up your reusable water bottle instead, and you just don't get juice that time. Or if you're at a grocery store looking for a new hot sauce or whatever, you can get one in a glass jar instead of plastic. You can get oats in a paper bag instead of a plastic bag. You can go to the bakery, or the deli area at the grocery store. You can get loaves of bread and put them into a paper bag instead of getting the plastic packaged, like name brand loaves of bread. Or go to your local bakery, and you can bring your own jars. You know, once the kind of rules that are in place right now start to, I don't know how to word this, but once we're less restricted on how we shop for things, you can start getting into the habit of having little cloth bags or containers on you in your bag or in your purse or in your car, wherever you go.
That's great. Thank you so much for all that. I love that, the 22-day challenge and just applying that to zero waste. That, yeah, makes a lot of sense. And I think that everything that you shared with us today is like so valuable. And obviously, in order for us to repair the damage that we've done to Earth, we have to come together, and collective action is really what's going to solve that. But obviously, that needs to start with individual action. So I think that for a lot of people, they don't feel that sense of urgency, and they're interested in, you know, moving towards that sort of lifestyle, but they know that others aren't. So what would you say to those people that are just not, they just don't feel the sense of urgency, they don't feel that call to action?
Okay, if you don't feel the sense of urgency or the call to action, what do I say to you? We only have one planet. There is no food on a dead planet. And that's actually going to be one of my upcoming shirt messages. If we kill the planet, we kill everything. We're on our way to more plastic than fish in the oceans. And the great thing is that what might seem difficult at first has so much reward. Like I would consider being zero waste and vegan a selfish venture because it benefits me so much anyways. My connection with nature just keeps getting more and more magical. And I really feel like it just continues to teach me more and more every time I spend time in nature, just knowing that I'm trying to really consciously every day think about more and more ways that I can reduce my harm to nature. I just feel like it shines for me more and more every time I spend time in it. So it's a beautiful feeling to be living this way. And I think it's more in tune with how we are meant to be living our lives. We're meant to be in nature. We're meant to be growing our own food. We're meant to be touching dirt and getting dirty and just understanding how it all works. So yeah, the more you want to protect nature, the more it protects you.
Wow, I love that. Thank you for that. That actually, everything you've said here today, like really resonated with me, and it's definitely it sparked a change or an inspiration light in me. So
cool.
I hope that I can do that for other people too. And I just thank you so much for sharing all of this with us today and doing everything that you do for the planet and the animals.
Aww.
It's amazing. It's inspiring.
Thank you for saying all of that. I'm super happy that this had an impact on you.
Aw. Did you have anything else you wanted to share with everyone today?
Thanks to you, Jen, and to everyone watching. That just shows that you already care, and most of the viewers are probably vegan, so that's an amazing thing to do to protect the planet and the humans and the animals. And yeah, just watch some documentaries, join some Facebook groups, reach out to people you know who are doing the things that inspire you, like zero waste, even just, meditating and tapping more into spirituality can be a great path to living more harmoniously with nature. So there's lots of ways we can keep pushing further and getting closer and closer to how we can live in harmony with the planet.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tosha. And thank you everyone for joining us. This is Liberation Hour Radio. You can find Tosha's apparel line at Peace People Project on Instagram. So check that out and stay well, stay healthy. Thanks so much. I'm Jen. This is Liberation Hour.
We don't drink this water, but we still wash with it. And,
When Tom Kudlow moved with his wife to rural Idaho in the 1980s, they drank water straight from their private well, but not anymore.
In the last year, we have all been drinking nothing but distilled water.
we keep it under the counter here. We've got...
A couple of years ago, the family learned that dangerously high levels of nitrates had been found in the groundwater aquifer beneath some large dairy farms nearby.
You can see the barns, the roof barns of the DeRuyter dairy with some of his haystacks.
The Kudlows live within a couple miles of 20 to 30,000 cows, altogether generating as much sewage as a medium-sized city. That dairy waste goes untreated into earthen lagoons and is later spread as fertilizer over nearby fields. In both places, contaminants can seep into underground aquifers that supply residents' wells.
And according to the geologists, the groundwater runs from there right underneath us.
95% of Idaho's drinking water comes from underground, and in recent years, bacteria, nitrates, and pathogens, contaminants often associated with animal feedlots, farms, and human waste, have polluted dozens of public water systems and been detected in groundwater feeding hundreds of rural wells across the state. But the problem is not unique to Idaho. According to the EPA, tap water for millions of people across the country has been contaminated by pollutants often found in livestock waste or farm runoff. What exactly happens to those contaminants underground is difficult to know. Unlike municipal or industrial waste, animal waste from feedlots is not generally required to be treated, and the Federal Clean Water Act, which regulates discharges into rivers and streams, for the most part does not cover groundwater.
The Clean Water Act is relatively silent on groundwater. I don't think we even know the extent of the issue because we don't have monitoring everywhere on these issues.
Regulating groundwater quality is largely a state matter, and in Idaho, one of the top dairy-producing states in the country, the agency in charge of regulating dairy pollution is also responsible for promoting the dairy industry.
One of the fundamental principles of this agency is to ensure that we continue to stay close with our agricultural partners and remember the source of both our food and our fiber.
Brian Oakey is Deputy Director of the Idaho Agriculture Department, which monitors dairies.
I'm certainly not comfortable just completely tagging the livestock industry as the sole source of the water quality problems that we do have and face here in the state of Idaho.
While not the only contributor, state environmental reports indicate that cow manure is a major source of nitrate contamination. At high levels, nitrates pose serious health risks to pregnant women and can deprive infants of oxygen in their blood. But the problem isn't just with nitrates. Cow manure also carries bacteria, pathogens, and livestock pharmaceuticals that persist in groundwater.
This is monitor well number 2. This one was put in...
John Monks is an independent hydrologist who monitors groundwater on dairies near the Kudlows.
See if there were water quality problems that could be originating from either this lagoon or the...
Local citizens demanded that these monitoring wells be put in when this dairy was built because the area's sandy soil makes the groundwater particularly vulnerable to seepage. One well here recently tested 14 times over the national safety standard.
The maximum contaminant level set by the EPA for nitrate in drinking water is 10 milligrams per liter. When we first started testing this well, the nitrate levels were about 40 milligrams per liter, and it's slowly gone up over time to now it's around 60. Most of the wells in this shallow aquifer are no longer used as a drinking water source because of the water quality problem.
This dairy owner recently lined his waste ponds with plastic to minimize seepage. But there's perhaps greater risk of seepage in nearby fields, where this same wastewater is later pumped or sprayed as fertilizer.
And they would come out from the road over here and then just spread it all out, and it's all thick manure sludge.
Dairyman's needing to get rid of waste. I'm trying to grow a crop for him.
Lauren McIntyre is waste manager for the DeRuyter Dairy, located near the Kudlows. He pulled up in his truck while we were filming along the road.
We have soil tests done twice a year, and along with what those soil tests show is when we put the heavy manure on, which is truck manure or tank manure, whatever you want to call it.
A representative of the Idaho Dairymen's Association said dairies follow strict regulations and waste management plans set by the state. But critics say the regulations are insufficient. Nitrates are still showing up in groundwater.
This is extra water over here. We have...
After a decade of drinking well water, the Kudlows now spend about $150 a month on distilled water. Tests of their tap water have shown elevated nitrate levels, but not high enough to exceed the federal safety standard. Nitrate levels tend to fluctuate, but beyond that, in the naturally occurring arsenic, the family fears that dairy hormones might also be present. Livestock pharmaceuticals have been found in drinking wells near feedlots elsewhere in Idaho.
During the time that we were all drinking that water, the girls and I stopped menstruating, and I have 2 teenage girls and myself, and I thought I was, hitting menopause, yay. But it turned out that it wasn't that at all, and started drinking the distilled water, and within 30 days, both of my daughters got their period within a day of each other.
At least one nearby dairyman says he doesn't use hormones in production. Still, the Kudlows say they have no guarantee. They haven't been able to afford the more expensive pharmaceutical tests.
What long-term effects are these dairies going to have on my kids? Are they going to be able to reproduce? Are they going to be able to have kids? Are they going to end up with cancer in a few years? I mean, nobody can answer these questions for us.
Nationally, the EPA says that regulating livestock waste is a growing priority of the Obama administration. But so far, little has occurred. One question going forward is, will the EPA continue to rely on agricultural states like Idaho to protect groundwater?